Good.
But let's talk about we're running long, and so I want to get to this last major piece anyway. This is an article that you found in what was this, the Register,
The
which
rich. Oh,
I
yes.
find
So Mark Pesce,
fascinating.
yes.
Well, because something that I've talked about forever is when it comes to AI, data is the fuel. And I'll let you tee
Mhm.
this up, but I'll just read the headline. Data is the new uranium, incredibly powerful and amazingly dangerous. And I mean, I always love anyone, even if I don't agree with it, and I don't know that I agree with this one, but I always love anyone who posits something that makes me go, huh? And so go ahead and tee this one up, and then we'll just see if you agree with it.
Yeah. So to me, this felt like a continuation of the big data era that we've been in over the past decade, and to the point where there's no real such thing as big data anymore because it's all just data, and we're all used to talking about petabytes and exabytes and forever bytes. But the problem there is that as much as we can abstract that at the Amazon or Google level, that is still a meaningful cost to us at the enterprise level for the vast majority of us. And right now, data is overwhelming our ability to govern uh, and be compliant with certain regulatory issues. So this article, this really more of an opinion piece, op-ed, is talks about how perhaps it's better for some data to be buried and to be removed from the enterprise environment. Perhaps it's better for us to archive. Perhaps it is. Perhaps we should delete some of this more quickly than we currently do, because nobody wants to throw away data by nature. It's not in our nature to think that that's a good thing, but perhaps we are starting to get overwhelmed with bad data or garbage data or toxic
So,
data.
well, then it's the toxic part that I find fascinating. He's saying that he's calling that data is the new yellow cake, right? So
Mhm.
he's countering the mantra that data is new oil, and he's saying really it's the new yellow cake, and that if we aren't careful, it can end up with a data Chernobyl. And I'm on the one hand, I mean, we've always had this issue, right? I mean, I used to cover strata and the big data conversations,
Mhm.
and not being a data guy per se, it always annoyed me. It's like, how do we can't just who could possibly think just collecting all this data and doing nothing with it, just throwing in a big giant data lake is a good idea? It just doesn't make any sense, right? That we need a way to manage it, to structure it, to govern it, to use it, right? The data is only useful if we use it in some way. Um, that said, I look at this and I talk about data being the fuel, or being the oil, around this because everything we're doing going forward from an AI perspective is based on data, right? I've been
Mhm.
an outspoken proponent of the fact that Gen AI is only one piece of it. We need these predictive AI elements. That's all rooted in solid, quantifiable, mostly structured data that we can translate and transform into these predictive algorithms that tell us what might happen because we can match these patterns. Well, if I start discarding the data, then how do I do that? And so where I'm struggling, it's like on the one hand, I hear it, I get it, I totally do because I've done enough data management in my career that I know it's a major pain and headache, and there's a lot of vulnerability with being able to secure it. And we talk a lot about, particularly if you're not a super large enterprise, do you have the resources to do that effectively, to safeguard it, to manage it, to govern it? And so it's like I found it so intriguing because on the one hand, I literally sort of have this like visceral reaction to it's like I don't know what data is going to be important to me today, tomorrow, the next day, because everything is changing so fast. So if I get rid of it, even archiving it, am I putting my business at risk? But then countering it with this idea of can I control it, secure it, govern it? And does that put me at a greater risk? And that's his point. That it is. It's a greater risk than not having the data. And I'm feeling like Captain Kirk right now. It's like I refuse to accept the no-win scenario. There has to be a way to fix this.
Right. We're all facing the Kobayashi Maru. But also I feel that, like, as a former DBA, I like structured data. I like managing it. I like having well defined categories and being able to build those schemas that make sense and define the company. But I feel like a lot of times when I'm looking at current data environments, it does feel like a junkyard that's out of control or a farm covered in horse crap. It's like you might have a diamond hiding in that acre of horse crap, but how are you even gonna find it? Like, even if you wanted to find it, I don't know that it's gonna be there without a whole lot of work. And that's kind of where we're stuck at this point. We convinced ourselves that all this data would lead to additional guidance, but honestly, a lot of the time it is just
Well, I do think it is exposing the lie that was big data, and that is simply collecting big data to have it isn't sustainable, isn't effective.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I'm convinced that those, however, that decide that it's too risky, we're just going to bury it, instead of trying to find a way to find that balance point, to figure out how to tame that beast. I'm not convinced that they're not going to come out in the living end. So I guess where I land is it's not, don't collect it. You need to put the emphasis, you need to put the focus. And I guess if I was, like I said, I found this so intriguing because if I was sitting in the shoes of a CIO today, and I was faced with the decision where I just didn't have the resources to manage and control the data. If I had to pick, I guess I pick burying it versus just throwing it in a lake and hoping for the best. But
Well, the
God,
good
I like I
news,
said, I just hate that.
yeah, good news is that IT vendors like Oracle and Databricks and Snowflake and NetApp and Pure Storage and Dell and HPE will be glad to sell you as much hardware as you and software as you need to store all of that and to bury it wherever you want.
But to bury it and try to manage it, yeah. I mean, it is going to be a gold mine at least for the vendor community for a while.